Flosstubers, and welcome to my Flosstube channel called The Stitches Merchant. My name is Tam and this is my very first Flosstube, so bear with me. It's a really daunting thing to think about doing a Flosstube and certainly getting ready for it. There's a lot of prep goes into that, so I have a great deal of respect and thanks for all those Flosstubers I've watched over the years, for all the work they've put in sharing their stitching and their love of stitching with us. So I guess to start with, today is Monday the 31st of October, so happy Halloween everybody. And today I'd like to share mainly Halloween smalls that I've completed over the last few years with you, and probably should give you a little bit of background about myself first. So you may have gathered by the accent, I'm not sure if I said, but I do reside in Australia. I live in Australia, born and bred. I live in the state of New South Wales currently, in a small town called Glen Innes, which is in the New England Highlands. It's high country, cool country, and I think our property, we have a small farm just out of town. It sits at about 1,200 and something metres above sea level, so we're quite high. It can be very cool. It can actually be very cold here. If Australians or people that have ever visited here, you mention that you live in Glen Innes, the main thing you get is coldest night I've ever spent in my life in Glen Innes. So we do get very cool. We can, at the extremes, -15, -18, I think we have had snow, but it doesn't stay, it doesn't stick with us. So it's currently spring though in Australia, and it's a beautiful day here, although it's getting windy at the moment. So happy Halloween, as I said. I will share some Halloween stitches with you, and then probably share some also recent finishes that aren't Halloween, and some smalls that I've moved on to for Christmas this week. Not a lot of progress there, but hopefully by the time I'm next on Flosstube, and if you return to watch me, there will be some more progress and I'll be able to share some other things with you as well. So finishes first. As I said, mainly smalls that I have to share today. I haven't done a lot of large finishes for Halloween. I did start Stacey Nash's Halloween at Hollyberry Farm, and I've started it twice actually. So the linen that I first chose, I was struggling to see. Yes, I'm now at the stage where it's magnifiers, glasses, the whole lot, because I like to work on the fine accounts. So yes, I have restarted that and not made a lot of progress. So perhaps by Halloween next year, we can live in hope. It's definitely in the whips, and at some stage I will share the large amount of whips that I have with you. So stay tuned. Okay, so this is the first finish. This is called, it's Madame Chantilly Halloween Mouses. It's on a 36 count. It's slightly an uneven weave. It's just a scrap of something I've had over the years that I'm using up. So it's cream. I may have walnut stained that. I do that occasionally, depending on the look I'm after. So I do all my own finishes. I do like a lot of texture, so often it will be wools or velvets, anything a little bit different on the backs. And the edge of this one has a rickrack. Again, I've dyed that rickrack and finished it with small beads. Most of my pillows now I fill, not most, stages. So this is actually mainly walnut shell and polyfill out to the corners, so it's filled out there and quite squishy in the middle, as you can see. So yeah, I really like that. I like displaying these with some, I'm a collector of all sorts of things. So it sits around with a lot of old bottles and vintage bits and pieces, buttons and things like that as well. So then I have a couple of freebies. I'll share them first. So these are accessible. Oh, look at that. I didn't even know I'd finished the back like that. This is Plum Street Samplers, so one of Paulette's. This was a freebie from quite a lot of years ago. I did look it up. I think it was 2012 on her blog, and it's called Hare's Happy Haunting. And I think I just finished this last year. Does it say 2021? Really sure. Again, the back, as I said, is velvet on this one. And look at that cute little witch's hat. I forgot I did that. So that's just a bit of wool applique to cover the... Sometimes I will cut a slit in the back and fill from there. Other times I'll leave the bottoms open and fill from there. This has got an edge out of... I was going to look that up actually. I think it's seam ribbon binding. I was buying different coloured ones from a girl on eBay in Australia. Again, some beads just to finish that off. I've got lots of beads, so I figure I may as well use them up on some cushions. This is another freebie then. This one is The Little Halloween Quaker, which is a freebie by Susan Archie, which is, I had to look that up, Susan. I apologise if I've said your name incorrectly. It's A-C-H-E. Susan designs a lot of Aurifil threads and quilts and things, as well as cross stitch. But this is available on the Aurifil site. I think the original that Susan stitched was on a cream background, but I had a little bit of a hand-dyed version of a murky that I just used that scrap up. So it's got a metallic edge on it and a bit of quilting cotton, an orange quilting cotton on the back. Really fun stitch, didn't take very long at all. And I've actually got Susan's little Christmas Quaker that I think I'll probably stitch this year. It's on my radar. Okay, so they're two freebies that are easily available to find on the web. Then this one was a finish Waxy Moon Designs from Etsy. I've downloaded it from Etsy. I think, obviously, yes, it is called Hocus Pocus by Waxy Moon Designs. It's also been stitched on that earlier one that was an uneven, slightly uneven weave, so it does look a little elongated. But a fun stitch, lots of movement in it. I really like Waxy Moon Designs for the hat. It's different colours in there, so it gives it dimension, which I really like. And there's a small charm in that ribbon on the top. Hopefully you can see that. And just finished with a quilting cotton on the back. Oh, it looks like a batik type look, but super cute. Bit of fun. Hopefully I'll have the video up that I took of these sitting on my table. We'll call that what's on my table today, of all these Halloween stitches to share. Then we have, this one is from, there's two actually, from Blackbird Designs. Blackbird would be one of my favourites. I buy all the Blackbird. Yes, Laura and Brenda, I buy all the Blackbird. So I'll show you first. This is how it sits. I think this was this was for Frosty's Night Out, which I've also done. So I've made a couple of drums fit in this so I can change them around. So it's actually a top hat. We'll take that out. And it just sits in there. So I think in the States you may have access to these things from Michael's or Joann's, which we don't have. So this is a box that I've glued onto a disc that perhaps my partner Howard got conned into making for me, but I've painted it with a charcoal chalk paint and rubbed it back a little bit, waxed it with Dixie Belle waxes, which I do love using for any of my finishes. So that little hat gets changed out, that top hat. And there is another one, Uncle Sam's perhaps, that I'd like to do to sit in that hat. So this time of the year though, we have October 31 sitting in there. Oops. Now I've used Vonna Pfeiffer's, that's not going to stay. They're very old glass pins that I picked up with some friends recently when we were on a road trip actually to a retreat, daisy chain retreat in September, which we all really enjoyed. Thank you, Teresa, it was wonderful. So I've used Vonna's tutorial, thank you Vonna, to finish those drums. I do, at the time I was using, as recommended by Vonna, there's board in there, so it does make it a little difficult to stick things into. And I have found some old tapestry canvas that now I'm using, which gives the stability with the batting on top, and then I can actually stick pins and things into it a little easier, which is better. So that's just a quilting cotton finish on that one as well. It's quite plain. I think that doesn't need anything. That the book, which I have here, so that's out of the book The Wings of Autumn. Must have this book. I have done a couple of things out of there, and it is, I believe, upside down. Yeah, the called for thread was onyx, but I didn't have onyx at the time, and I've used the also Gentle Art sampler threads, but it's cast iron skillet, so not very different. But that's the original, which was probably a little grayer, and that's mine. So that one sits there in its hat with the pins. Also out of the same book, which I did last year, I believe, was Spell of the Moon. Gorgeous owl on the big yellow moon. I think I've seen a couple of people stitching this recently again this year. It's a gorgeous stitch. This one was done on 32 count Weeks Dye Works tin roof. I don't believe I would have done 2 threads. I tend to not like 2 threads anymore, so I don't mind the prim look of just a single thread on a 32 count. That's finished with some sort of a rayon velveteen, old cushions. I op shop a lot, and I will cut up old cushions and stash them in my cross stitch finishing crate. So I've actually also dyed this to do other projects as well, with a fine black square finished edge on that one. So that's Spell of the Moon, also out of The Wings of Autumn. I think it's the first project in this book. There is lots in this book. Lots still on my, yes, it's called Spell of the Moon. And that is out of Blackbird Designs, Wings of Autumn. I think this book is still fairly readily available. On that, I've called my channel The Stitches Merchant because recently I have opened a store called The Stitches Merchant. So online needlework store. That's I'm still building inventory, but I'm very new. I have run a business, a retail business before, but I do work full time as well at the moment. So in between that and in my spare time, I'm shipping out parcels to all my new customers. Thank you so much for your support. And I've got lots of new inventory still coming in. So it came about on the back of approaching Karen and Brendan from Fox and Rabbit Designs. So Karen and Brendan had a store for a long time in needlework, for I think 21 years, Karen said. So they made the decision recently, earlier this year, to close their online store, Linens and Threads, which I had been a customer for many years. I met Karen many years ago at a craft show, and she actually convinced me that I could stitch on 40 count linen. So thank you, Karen. I have progressed. I've even started recently a 46 count project as well. So I approached Karen and Bren because this is something as a dream that I really like to do. And yeah, they were happy to sell me their chart inventory at the time. So it's been a couple of months of getting that loaded, building a website, a lot of work in the background, and I opened it on the 13th or 14th of October. So if you'd like to check out the store, it's The Stitches Merchant, and I'll have a link as well on my channel permanently for The Stitches Merchant. My Instagram account is The Stitches Merchant and Facebook is The Stitches Merchant, but you can also follow my personal account if you like, which I share mainly farm life but also stitching life on Mid-Winter Feathers, and I'll put the correct, it's mid_winter_feathers. So I've had that account for a number of years. When you open a business, it's, do you keep that name? What does that Mid-Winter Feathers doesn't really mean what I needed it to be, and I really like The Stitches Merchant. aligns with my vision and goals for my business to, although we live in a modern world and an online world very much, to provide a customer service and an exceptional experience online as well. And I'm certainly getting that feedback from my customers at the moment. So thank you all. Okay, we still have more Halloween stitches to share at the moment. So the next ones, I actually had these on a tree last year. Let's move some of these out of the way. You also need a large table. Yes, I had this on a tree. So if you look through my Midwinter Feathers account, you'll be able to see these were all hanging on branches last year. But this is Brenda Gervais with By Needle and Thread. The little book, Jack-O-Lantern Jubilee, which I absolutely love. So I don't know that I've done them on the called for. Access to some of the linens and that in Australia can be difficult, which is why I often dye my own as well. Yes, so Brenda's was 40 count Brenda's Brew Linen by R&R Reproductions, which I think I actually do have some in my stash now. But at the time I didn't, so I have stitched mine on 36 count Weeks Dye Works Beige. So there you go. I'll cycle through these little guys. Oops, probably upside down. Sorry, trick or treat. And this is the little cats. Of course, I love stitching cats. I have a chocolate coloured British. So cats are very much my thing to stitch at Halloween. Little witch. And another little witch. Super cute. One of the ways I like to finish these are just polyfill, nothing heavy in them, because if you're going to hang them, you don't want them too heavy. And I like to add these are jewellery findings, which I think got at an op shop. I live in a small town. There's not a lot of access to a lot of things on my doorstep, so I pick up things like we all do. But they're a little jewellery finding, and I've just got a little bit of a leather string on there. So if I want to hang them, I can. If I want them in a bowl, that just tucks over. The backs of those, actually they're all a little different. Half with, there we go, the larger one. Half with the orange and black check and half with their wool. Just a suiting wool, I believe. So the 2 checks on the back of those. Finished. Super cute, in a bowl, timber, ceramic, whatever your thing is, dough bowls, hanging. As I said, they were hanging last year, so like those. Hope you could see them, sorry. The edges on that were smaller rickrack as well that I have dyed, although I do have a lot of trims in my store, and also we'll be getting a lot more of the Lady Dot trims in, because I do like to finish with those as well where I can. So that was Brenda's with Thy Needle and Thread Jack-O-Lantern Jubilee, which I do have a couple of copies in store if you'd still like to do some Halloween stitching. Cross stitching, I will continue. This was this year's finish. I finished this only really recently. It is Paulette's Plum Street samplers again, Ghoul Tidings, an older chart, but super cute, and not very many threads required. I probably did sub a couple that I didn't have. I often do that. This one, the model was stitched on 28 count Fog Lifter by R&R Reproductions, which I didn't have any, so I have used. So I've actually mounted this, fairly certain I've used Beach Brew or Winter's Brew. It's one of the brews. I have written it down. There we go. I've mounted it in a little house that I, again, conned the ever-patient Howard into putting a chimney on. So it was a timber spice rack, I think, from like a $2 shop. Not black. I've painted it and charcoal painted it and finished it with the Dixie Belle waxes again, just to get it does have a nice feel. Slightly rubbed it back. And it's a flat finish. Again, thank you, Vonna. Vonna's tutorials are terrific. So flat finish that, and it's just a Velcro sticky dot, so in time I can change that out to another Halloween stitch or Christmas. I often have a black tree, so sometimes it's a black Christmas theme that we might do. I have many coloured trees. That's another thing that's coming soon. So yeah, really cute. It does have a hanger on it. I could hang it on the wall, but at the moment I've just got it sitting on a stack of old suitcases with some other Halloween things. Hopefully you can see that. Hopefully you can see the stitching. I think it only took 6 or 7 days of stitching of that one. Really cute. I've always been fascinated. I believe that would be somewhere around the time of the Salem witch hunt. I do know a little bit about American history, so always fascinated with that. So I really like to enjoy. And again, there's cats. If it's got cats, it's cats. That's about, so I have an awful lot of stuff on my table, sorry. That's all the Halloween stitches I've gotten out today to share, and just another couple of little things that I do display. As I said, I do other crafts, quilting when I finish them. This is a punch needle that I did some years ago. It is a Brenda Gervais as well with my needle and thread. It's just in a little silver. This is actually it was a broken sugar bowl. Its handle has been broken off that I've picked up somewhere. I'm not fussed on polishing it. It can be left like that, that's absolutely fine. But it is cute, the little owl. And it's not even fixed in there. Just to show you how bad my finishing. It doesn't matter what the back looks like, quickly. There's just that's actually fur that came off a scarf that a dog, my old dog many years ago, got hold of and ripped up. So I've kept the trim and been able to use it in some stitches. So yeah, it just sits in that old sugar bowl. Some cute ideas. And another little one, this is Jeepers Peepers. I think I finished it last year as well. So it's just sitting on a spool. This is Laurie from The Spotted Hare. If you haven't checked out her, she has a website that you can purchase her patterns, and she has, follow her on Instagram as well, The Spotted Hare. And this is her Jeepers Peepers pattern, and she does them in all different colours. This was a Halloween version, but of course you could do them for Easter. That would be super cute to have a whole heap of little pastel coloured ones for Easter. A wool pin cushion and little beads stitched around the edge of that. I do like him, he's cute. Just sits in the cabinet as well. That's pretty much Halloween stitches. So I guess other things to share today, not taking up too much of your time because I'm not sure how long this is going to go for and how much I'll have to edit as well. But what have I finished recently? So I mentioned that I had gone to the daisy chain retreat in September. I did take this particular stitch with me to the daisy chain retreat. I don't think I did very much. I moved on to something else actually. I took 2 projects only, but I did. I finished number 2 as well. So this is a finish. Obviously needs to be framed, or I actually don't know what I want to do with this one. Ignore the dots. I dyed this linen myself, and the powder wasn't quite dissolved well enough. This does happen sometimes. But it's shabby, it's very prim, it's perfectly fine for me and what I like to do with it. Love these colours. So I think I'd have to add them up, but I've stitched a number of things out of that particular book that comes out of, which has got thread on it, sorry, the Sewing Club book. So I have, as I said, stitched a number of things I'll share with you over the coming episodes that we may have. This is a terrific book, must-have book by the Blackbird. I was lucky enough to be in the Cruel Goblins Sewing Club, was that 2 years ago? 3 maybe. It was somewhere COVID-ish. Everything blows together there, doesn't it? So yeah, terrific book. This is one of the last, it's actually on the back cover as well. And it is called Tiny Treetops. I always quite forget. Tiny Treetops Rose or Time was the name of the chart. and the called for was a 32 count doubloon by Picture This Plus, which I wasn't able to get in Australia, and we had a lot of shipping issues through COVID with trying to get anything from the States as well. So hence dyeing my own linen. I think actually you can see on the wall behind me, I don't have a lot of wall space. It's a bit of an issue. I have a lot of other things I like to have on my walls as well. I do tend to pick a black thick frame. I think this would look really, I'm thinking a really heavy frame on this, a thick frame. So I might look at doing that. So perhaps next time you see it, I'll have it framed in a big chunky black frame. And that would be perfectly fine just to sit on a small easel or in a cabinet as well, not on the wall, because as I said, wall space is at a bit of a premium in my house because I like to have other vintage things up as well. So that's a sewing club one that I finished just after the retreat. This is the other one that I started at the retreat. It's called Our Hearts by Brenda Gervais. Love the pomegranates, and I have changed and adapted mine slightly. So I believe Brenda did this for her wedding anniversary, which will be lovely as well, of course. But there's a bit of a story with some stitchy friends that I have. Hi Dana and Libby. First one, I need to say hi to Dana and Libby. So a bit of cross stitch, and Libby is and this little pig, if you'd like to follow them on Instagram. We met at a Plum Street retreat in Australia 3 years ago. And the pomegranates, if there are a couple of the ladies at our table that will, if they get to watch this, Anne-Marie and Betty Ann will get a laugh out of as well. But there was quite a story to the pomegranate, so pardon me, it's become a thing. I thought if I went to another retreat, I would stitch a pomegranate thing. So here we are, the finished. I need to cut some threads off the back, sorry. I will get better at this. So for our friendship, there's 3 ladies on there, and Pecolban 2022, which was where we actually went to the Daisy Chain retreat in September. Again, probably will frame that one in a black frame as well. Oh, that would have been done on Lakeside, 36 count light exemplar. There we go. It didn't call for that, it called for, I'm not sure. If I remember, I'll put it up. But if you'd like the chart, I do have copies of that chart in store as well. So, finished this week was, before I move on to Christmas stitching, Snort Stack. How cute is that? Little piggies. So that is Paulette, Plum Street Samplers, Snort Stack. So aim is eventually, when I stitch a lot more of these, I think I counted the other day, I think Paulette's done 17 of these animal little pillows that would be terrific in a bowl. I have done a couple of others. One was gifted, so I don't have that one, although I will restitch it because it was llamas, the llama lump. And obviously, given I have alpacas, I'll probably adapt them to an alpaca lump. Won't be a lump. And I actually did rack stack quite a few years ago now, probably maybe 3-4 years ago. So that's a little Christmas one. Really love the reindeer. Finished with a velvet on the back, and Lady Dot Creates. It is a Lady Dot Creates, but I'm not sure. But yeah, so plan to have those two. I'll re-stitch Llama Lump and maybe, not sure. One of the other ones I've got, I think I've got Fox View or Goat Load to think about perhaps doing that too. And that's the chart. So it was the called for threads. The chart called for 36 count oaken. I only had a 32, so actually this is Nicola's linen from Handmade number 12 Stitch Co on Etsy. So she's an Australian hand dyed linen from Queensland. I do buy a fair bit off Nicola. Beautiful linens. Not sure what this one was called because it was in a pack I bought at the retreat. But I've got a little bit there. I'll be able to fit another one on as well. The rack stack was done on Fox and Rabbit's Lyrebird Dell, which I've got quite a lovely big piece of to do another project on. Love that colour. Really pretty. So that's this week's finished. Then I've moved on to Christmas stitching. And at the moment, sorry, not ironed. And I have picked, it's not exactly Christmas, but I just love it. I love all Stacey Nash's pillows. So it's Stacey Nash Primitives First Snowfall Pink Heap. Obviously in Australia we don't have snow at Christmas time, but Christmas is a big thing for me. I have many trees, many decorations. I will be spending my Christmas this year with family, and so I will put up a tree here, but I won't get as carried away as usual because my nieces won't be down. So it's a little part of a stitch there on a massive piece of linen. That's 46 count Confederate grey. The called for was Confederate grey by Weeks Dye Works. It probably was the 35 count, which I didn't have, so I had a piece of 46. So I've done it on 46, which means it will just be small, but it's a pillow, that's fine. Beautiful colours. Love Stacey Nash's. Love everything Stacey Nash. Have a lot of whips as well. One that I started last night that I don't have to share because honestly it's not very much, it's in the corner, but I've started Very Merry Christmas by the Scarlet House. Such a cute sentiment. This year's tree is going to be red, which is unusual for me. I don't usually do really traditional. So I'm hoping to have this one finished and on the front of a box that I have for that. So I'll show you that hopefully before Christmas would be good. And the other one that might be immediate radar, I mentioned before that I had done the little freebie of Little Halloween Quaker, and this one is the Little Quaker Christmas by Susan Archie as well. Can show that one, that's free, it's available on the Aurifil website. So I think I'll change the colours though. I'm going to change them to more reds and greens and traditional, and perhaps the angels aren't really my thing, might make it into just lighter than that. So that is my next few weeks of stitching, I imagine, until something else draws my attention, which undoubtedly it will. Fall down another rabbit hole or chase another squirrel. I do have some Christmas whips that I possibly should look at as well. Probably just to finish off then, if you're still in Halloween stitching mood, given that it's the 31st of October and it is Halloween this evening, I've actually just last week, I believe, Teresa Kogut's most recent orders came in with some of her chats, so I thought I'd just share them with you. And if you'd like to purchase them, I do have copies of these in store, and her Hello Halloween booklet, which is amazing. There's 11 projects in there, and I think I want to stitch every one of them. So that'll be definitely on next year's Halloween radar to get a couple of those done. This one was super cute. This is Whimsy Witch's Angry House. Cat, hopefully not reflecting too badly. Cute little witch with her little cat. And the other cat, of course, I couldn't resist was Tabby's Halloween. So I will stitch Tabby, definitely will stitch Tabby for next year. And I really like Quakers as well. So this is terrific, this Scylla Witch's Quaker from Teresa, which I think came out last year. So just 2 colours in there. That one might although. And Hello Halloween is Teresa's book that's just been released for this year's Halloween. I've marked a couple of pages to share with you because you might not have seen a bit of a book flip through on this one. And so obviously you've got that beautiful sampler on the front. Other ones that I thought to share were these smalls. So we've got hopefully you can see those. Sorry, I will learn. one, this is the Good Witch. And these witch ones are, I think we've seen I've certainly seen these on Instagram, which is why I went looking and I had to get the book in, was the vintage cats. Which I would probably stitch and turn into an ornament as well. So there are, as I said, there's 11 projects in that book from Teresa. Absolutely gorgeous. Hello Halloween. And that's probably all that I've got to share with you today. So happy stitching everybody, and I look forward to seeing you back here. I'm not going to make any promises. I work full time and I have a business, so hopefully in the not too distant future, definitely before Christmas, I will be sharing, for those that have subscribed and probably in Australia, I have Fox and Rabbit will be our guest designers at my first retreat in May next year. So we're just finalising details on that, and that hopefully will be out at the end of the month for registrations. So stay tuned to that, and I plan to be back before then, hopefully. Happy stitching everybody. Bye.